My name is Jordan Pearson. I'm from Torbay in Devon. I've been a youth worker, I've been a support worker, and I've even ran my own community centre. And throughout those journeys, I've met so many ordinarily kind people that don't get the recognition that they deserve. So this is my attempt to recognise them. I think kindness is within all of us. It costs nothing to be kind, but it probably means the most. We're looking for kind people that are passionate about what they do and really trying to make a huge difference in their community. These people are the backbone of our society, giving one thing that you can't get more of: their time. In this series, my friend Rach from Part-Time Working Mummy joins me as we travel up and down the country in our search for ordinary kindness. In this episode, we find ourselves at an adventure playground in Brixham in Torbay, whose focus is to reunite our little ones with some of life's simple pleasures. It's easy to forget as an adult just how important it is to play, especially in an open green space away from technology. So, we spoke to some delightful humans about how they encourage the latest generation to put down their phones and get muddy. Hi Dan, you alright?
Yeah, hi, nice to meet you.
I'm Jordan, nice to meet you. This is Rachel.
I'm Rachel.
Nice to meet you, Rachel. Hi,
welcome to Indigo's.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. After you.
Thank you very much.
After a quick tour of Indigo's, the Brixham branch of Play Torbay, we sat down with Dan and the gang for a chat about a seemingly overgrown jungle.
Yeah, so here we are, we're on Indigo's Goes Wild. We're about to sort of develop this space into a green eco site. So we're going to call it Indigo's Goes Green, which is quite exciting, and have hopefully where we're sitting right now is going to be a new, shiny new building that's completely carbon neutral and promote kind of environmental activities and be a training hub and also a base for Play Torbay.
We started as Torbay Play Forum back in 1999, and we did it because we felt that children could actually have more opportunities in the holidays. That was really the reason. And then a lovely lady called Janet Howard, who's now at Lupton, started this adventure playground. It's the first one, was Indigo's Go Wild. And she came to, about 3 or 4 or 5 years later, she came to Play Torbay and she said, Tanny, would you like to take Indigo's Go Wild over? Because we're going to take over Lupton House and we're going to make it an amazing place, which she has done. And so we said we'd love to have an adventure playground, and from that day on, we then started to develop what Janet had started, and we've been doing that ever since, really. So it's probably in the region of 20 years old now, and so there are people that have grown up that are now bringing their children to the adventure playground, which is lovely.
You know, one of the reasons I really sort of enjoy and why I work in play work is because I completely endorse the importance of play. It's massively critical to children's development and well-being, but to be able to get that back, whether that's from children telling you, yeah, that was amazing, or whether parents saying it's just been really important, they can see that value and importance, and that's really rewarding. Quite often I used to work in another job where we opened big sheds in schools called play pods, and quite often when we opened one, children would come up and hug me for no reason, and it always bemused me, why are they doing this? And I think they were just so happy with the fact that their playtimes were going to be so special.
It's fundamental to their development. I mean, there's such a lot of research now. I don't know why people don't really recognise this as much as they should, but actually children who are deprived of play actually find it very difficult to ever reclaim it. So what we really need to do is give children opportunities give them opportunities to come, to take risks, to try things out, to make friends. Really, really, when just in the last summer, after COVID, children were very reluctant when they first came through the doors. They were quite nervous, they were quite shy, and over the week, they started a game up at Inningos, and we'd had all these trees chopped down because they were unsafe, and they were playing a game which was swapping logs for stones. I mean, and they went on all week, and it was a sort of like sort of merchandise shop where they exchanged a log for a stone. And when we talked to them about why they did that, they said because it helped them make friends, and they just played, and I thought that was just such a lovely example of how important just playing is to help children build relationships and to help them feel happy. And that's all of the things is what they really said. And at the end of the week, their parents were saying they're so much more ready for school, and they're so and more like their old selves. So that was lovely. So we've really seen that.
With play being so vital to a child's development, Tanny and the team made sure that the fun would continue even throughout the pandemic.
If the children couldn't come to play, we would take play to the children. And so what we thought, at the beginning of the pandemic, back in March of 19, Christ, it looks so far away now. But we immediately thought, right, let's take play to the children. Why don't we do play packs? And in the play packs, there will be 8, 10, 12 activities.
One of the complexities about being a charity is that we're sort of rely on funding. We were midway through a funding stream, and we have to deliver those services. So we had to think quite creatively to embrace that, but also to sort of as well support the kids that we were intending to support. The workaround, I think, with it in essence was, as I said before, we started off with one, which was these amazing boxes that had lots of stuff inside, things to cook, things to make, an activity booklet, and then we had these sessions that we could accompany on Zoom, and people could apply to get these boxes, and we delivered them for free, and then we did the sessions on Zoom when it was convenient time, particularly when they weren't at school. It was much easier. And then that one pack turned into 8 packs. We produced about 300 at a time.
The whole development of the play pack, it's been really inspiring for me. I really loved it. I mean, it's the sort of thing I like doing, and I like designing, and I like developing things like that, and I like the whole idea of developing activities. I particularly like cooking, I particularly like growing, and I like art and crafts. So it's been a pleasure to work out what can we do that would be really exciting for kids. So growing a screaming mandrake, yes. I really loved the whole concept of thinking how we could support children to grow stuff, and then they'd come on the Zoom and they'd show you how tall their screaming mandrake had grown, or how their paper whites were flowering just before Christmas. I mean, it was quite remarkable.
So I always say there's a silver lining everywhere for everything. And the pandemic actually made us reach more people that we had never met before by going to their doorstep and knocking at the door and receding quickly because of COVID, dropping the box and saying gloves and everything. And the response was so extraordinary, because parents were a lot of parents were finding it really hard. Children were finding it extremely hard, especially when they were confined to their homes, but they had that. And on top of that, it wasn't just dropping the pack and cheerio. We decided to have Zooms with the kids. So, we had to think about all sorts of things, safeguarding stuff, all risk assessment. But we had 2 or 3 times a week, we had Zooms with the children where we would do each activity with them if they wanted us to. And that was a heap of fun. I mean, I had dares coming out of my ear holes because I was at the beginning. I was in those Zooms too. You know, seeing the kids make their things and cook their things, and it was just. I mean, and for that hour or so that we were doing the activity with them, it was magic, and nobody thought about COVID.
It was the use of modern tech in the guise of Zoom that got them through the pandemic. But usually there is a more old school approach. The use of mobile phones and tablets are not encouraged.
And once they know us and they're used to being here, they don't really think about their phones so much. So, but if they do bring their phones, we do ask them to put them in the locker so that it doesn't get lost, it doesn't get broken, they don't use it, they don't take photographs where children without consent can be, all this kind of thing. But yes, it is a place where you're pretty much technologically free in terms of play, absolutely. I love my phone and I'm surgically attached to my phone. However, I do know that I've put on weight since I've become surgically attached to my phone. So I suppose it's true for everybody. You know, you need to be out there, talk to people face to face again, especially after this ridiculous 1.5 to 2 years. We need to be socializing. It's for your mental health, for your physical health, and that doesn't necessarily involve a phone.
It's clear the kids get a lot out of this place, but what about the people running it?
Yeah, I suppose it's like a social cause for me. It's valuable because I know when children come out, when they've got the opportunity to play, or I'm giving opportunities for play to happen, I strongly believe in that. I did as a teacher, I did as a play worker, and now in a different role, it's still more behind the scenes, but you kind of think, yeah, it's still important. So yeah, so when I see kids here, it's great, because it's like you think, oh yeah, and when I see my kids here, like you say with your kids in Chorley, it's the same. It's great to see that this space can still be here and other spaces as well. So yeah.
I think just seeing, you know, if you come here when all the children, there can be 100 children here and you can only see half a dozen, do you know what I mean? It's quite amazing. And in the summer I came here and we had this amazing musical percussion station with chimes and bells, and the sound was phenomenal. And the children would come and they'd go past and they'd get really excited, bang about, and then then move on and whatever. And just seeing that movement and the playing of the stones and the wood and all of that, just seeing that it is quite remarkable that it happens. And there's no shouting, there's no, I mean, when I say shouting, there might be shouting, but it's not cross shouting, and there's no saying don't or what. It's a really pleasant, lovely place to be.
15 years ago, unfortunately, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had to have mastectomies, all sorts. At the time, I had a 5-year-old child with me. She was just 5. It was tough because the child's father couldn't really cope with the whole situation, and on the day of the surgery he said, I can't cope, goodbye. So I was like, it was incredibly tough. Plus I just landed in Torbay, so I didn't really know many people. The network wasn't really there. My family was abroad. So somebody who also had a child in the same nursery as my daughter said, oh, I'll take you to children in need. I was horrified. My child's not in need. What are you talking about? Well, anyway, it wasn't children in need. It was Torbay who then had funding for children in need. And she came back absolutely filthy. And I was absolutely fuming that how dare you? Those trousers, that top. Anyway. On the next day I went with her. I was well enough to come with her, and what I saw was, I'll never forget, it was tires everywhere, cardboard boxes, sticks, bits of fabric, children running around, feral kids, what I thought, feral kids running around everywhere, covered in flour as well. God knows what they were doing with flour, but it doesn't really matter. Within 5 minutes I was covered in flour, I was covered in mud. And I said, I never heard of you guys. Aren't you on Facebook? And they said, oh no, we don't have Facebook. Whoa, we don't have Facebook? That's like a criminal thing. So I said, oh, I'll do a Facebook for you. Do you have Twitter now? So anyway, that's how my communications work started with Play Torbay. And it evolved for the 15 years. And I would, if I'd known about play work before, that's all I would have done. So yeah, totally passionate about what I do.
There's something endearing about listening to adults talk passionately about play. I feel comforted knowing that our next generation and our current generation are in safe, muddy hands when they come to Play Torbay. To find out more, go to ordinarykindness.co.uk, or to donate, go to our Just Giving page and search Ordinary Kindness.
The thing is, I owe my sanity and my health, and certainly my daughter's health, and I'll say this, she probably won't see this. She's in Oxford now. She went to Oxford 2 weeks ago. So I owe it to Play Torbay. There is no way she would have been mentally healthy, physically healthy, willing to know, and she became a play worker as well before she left. I owe it all to Play Torbay. I owe it all to play, and I owe it all to play work.